And welcome in, everybody. Again, it is a special player profile. At this time, we bring in the pride of Warren JFK and one of the. I mean, do you constantly. Is it like being a world champion whenever you're a state champion? Do you get introduced as state champion of the Warren JFK baseball team? It is Gavin Shrum. What's up, G?
Nothing. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Not as good as you though, because earlier this week, a big announcement coming out of your camp. Talk to me about what you announced and why you announced it.
So recently, within the past couple of days, I announced my commitment to Malone University to continue my athletic and academic careers. I honestly announced this just because, they gave me a great opportunity to go play baseball, to continue my dream of playing college baseball there. And I got to further my academic career with some money also that would help me in the future. So I'm going to college, getting some money off, which was a great opportunity. And it's just like a loving, welcoming place there.
And it's a wild story that you have. We're gonna get to that in just a minute. But obviously, there's people don't realize how tough the recruitment process is this time around for the class of 22. The class of 21 had it last year because of the COVID situation and everything that came with it. Talk to me about your recruitment story, the one that you explained off air right before we started.
So honestly, we went through last year and last baseball season. I was planning on just making a statement for myself and trying to get my name out there in high school and travel baseball. I want to make my name well known to scouts and stuff like that and try to publicize myself a little bit more. When all the uproaring came around and it was just go time for the playoffs, I really didn't think of it much about like then. It was kind of just like I honestly put all my recruiting stuff to the side and I just focused on winning a state championship for baseball, which luckily we were able to do. And it was kind of surprising to me. I had a really good showing in the state championship. Could have done a little bit better. Um, Always room to improve, but I didn't really get a lot of, I would say, college recognition from that. Around the city and stuff, I got a lot of recognition from other people and stuff like that, congratulating me, but not as much about like with colleges. Um, Honestly, that was kinda shocking, but, I just kinda held my head up high and then just kept working. Football season came around, had a great year. It was sad, we finished in the state semis, kinda had an unfulfilled dream there, with not winning state. I wish I really could have won a state championship with those kids, but, we went as far as we could, put in the work, and that won't go unnoticed. Going into my recruitment, it started like pretty late, I would say. I went to an Ed Santa showcase in October, which was kind of in the midst of football, but I just had to work it in because that's my dream. I wanted to go play college baseball somewhere. Um, and I talked to like a couple scouts there, had a pretty good showing. I didn't get a lot of college recognition there. I actually talked to a couple pro scouts there instead of colleges. Um, so that was kinda shocking to me, and then after that, a couple weeks went by. Um, One of my coaches and, like, someone I work with daily, one of my hitting coaches, called the Malone coach. He said, "Hey, you gotta look at this kid, have him up, like, you really need to get on him. Not a lot of colleges are on him. He's looking for somewhere to play." And at that time, I was really reaching out to a lot of schools, like, around here, like Walsh, Notre Dame, even some schools in West Virginia and PA. I got some offers there, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. I ended up going on an official visit to Malone. I went on a visit, and then I went on an official visit. My first visit went great. I didn't really get the baseball aspect of it, but I really got to see the campus. I really got to see the academic side. Then on my official visit, I just went there with some unmarked boxes, which was, like how would I fit in with the rest of the team? Where would I fare at playing wise? Because I kind of wanted to go in as a freshman, obviously. That's a goal to go in and play varsity. And I wanted to see where I would stand on the depth chart and stuff like that. So it was great to go there, watch some of the practices, see some of the kids I'd be competing against in the next upcoming years. And when I left there, me and my family talked because they wanted to be a very big like they really wanted to be involved with where I was going to end up going and deciding to go. So we talked about it for a couple days, and then I really got back to the coach, and he said that he would love to have me. He was really anxious to get me to commit. After every visit, after every phone call, it was, "Are you ready to commit yet? Are you ready to commit yet?" And then I ended up sending him a graphic, the photo edit of me. And I was like, "Well, how does this look?" Then I called him on the phone. He was super excited. So was I, and so was my family. That I ended up deciding to go there.
Well, congratulations, man. I love the
Thank you.
story. I love the fact that, there was pro scouts looking at you. The dream is alive, man. It's alive and well, and being able to have that state championship in your back pocket last year, working on another one this year. Obviously, you said you're a multi-sport athlete, and when you look at the ultimate goal for Warren JFK and seemingly every sport nowadays is a state championship, and that's not to be taken lightly. So, from your standpoint, you said there was a lot of colleges that kind of came on, and recruitment is so tough nowadays because of the extra year due to COVID and things of that nature. What made you feel at home at Malone? I know you said you looked at where you'd fall in the depth chart. Where are you being recruited as a pitcher only, a PO, or are you going to be able to utilize more positions?
So actually, I went in with the intent, and I kind of decided this for the last, like, since my junior year, which obviously wasn't that long ago, and a little bit of my sophomore year. Um, I went in of the intent to not pitch in college,
Okay.
and I just wanted to focus on shortstop. I do some pitching at the Class B league, and then I do some in high
Just a
school.
little
There's
bit. I mean, just
just
shutting people out in the state
yeah, I guess.
playoffs.
Um, but then I did some in high school, but that's just because we have smaller rosters, and I'm not like that's not my primary position, but I do like to do it because when I pitch, I feel like I'm in control of the game, and I kind of like putting that pressure onto myself that like I can dictate whether we win or not. So I went to the my official visit and I practiced there. Um, and they actually have a shortstop right now. His name's Tyson Gingrich.
Hmm.
He's going to get drafted, I think, and that's what the coach thinks. And he's a fifth-year senior, could possibly be a sixth-year senior, but obviously if he gets drafted, he won't spend his sixth year there. So I'm looking to go play middle infield there, shortstop or second, depending if he's still there or not. I think like when I went, I really bonded with him, and it was like really odd that it's like how closely we were related. Not very big kids, just worked hard and stuff like that. And then I asked the coach, I was like, "Hey, I don't know if you know that I pitch," and he's like, "Yeah." Like, I know you pitched in the state game, and I was like, well, if you want me to throw like a 12 pitch bullpen in front of your coaches, like I'd be more than happy to do so, just because I wanted to like make sure they knew all my options and where like my versatility, because first year I go there like I want to get on the field like however I can. That's just me. Like I don't care if I have to play outfield or whatever it is, something that's like not natural to me, but I'll do it just to play because that's just like what I do. Um, so I threw a 12 pitch bullpen in front of their coach, and he really liked my stuff. And after the practice, I went up to him. He asked me, he's like, "No, you're not ready to commit yet, but like I want you to go home, talk with the parents." When I called him when I got home, he was like, asked him the one question that I still had unmarked yet was, "Where do you think I would fit in as a freshman? Like, what are your plans with me?" And he goes, "Well, obviously, with your actions in the middle infield, like we'd love to have you there." And then I had like a really long talk with our pitching coach after practice, and he said that you could make a big like impression on the mound too for us. And I was like, so that could end up me leading to a two-way position kind of guy, and that's what I'm essentially going to go and do. They're not going to use me as a starting pitcher,
Sure.
and if they do, then I would play second base. And then if I pitch anywhere throughout the game, it'd probably be like 1, 2 innings, like get out of a jam, two
Yeah,
outs,
just a
pitcher
bullpen
goes
guy.
down.
Yep.
Exactly. So that's what they're gonna try to do. Try to protect my arm as much as they can, and then if they need me, they're gonna use me.
All right, so I got to ask you, with all this stuff that you've gone through, just being able to kind of fill in the blanks. Now you know what your direction is. Now you got to get to your destination. And standing between you and Malone right now is another season of Warren JFK baseball where you guys all have a chance to win another state title. What things did you take away from your visit? And what things, is it confidence that you take with you this year in your senior year and going in? I mean, you guys were 11 strong last year. Nobody gave you a shot except the guys that were in that dugout. And yet you walked away with the state title. So talk to me about what you're taking in this year, what the being a leader, although you were last year as well, being the undoubted leader on that team this year, along with the others that were able to win a championship. What are you taking in this year that you didn't necessarily have last year?
So, not many people know, but so we have 3 captains this year. We have me, Michael Morrow, and Alex DeSalvo. And I couldn't ask for better leaders to have joining me. I feel like we're really going to lead this team this year. We did last year. Both those kids that I mentioned have incredible heart for whatever they do, hustle on and off the field. They just want to work, and that's just really the name of our senior class. That's just like how we were that's just how we made our impression on Kennedy. Just hardworking kids. Coming into the season, I hold a little bit of pressure on myself just because I want to live up to the standards that I did last year. Obviously walking in with the state championship winning pitcher, I'm going to be held to a high standard, and I have to perform each and every game. Honestly, I feel like the biggest obstacle that we have to overcome this year isn't going to be trying to play to some like high standard or high degree or something like that, or like any of our opponents. I feel like the people that could beat us, and I feel like that could beat us and could be the most harmful to us, is our own selves. If we go in this off season and we work day in and day out twice as hard as we did last year, good things will come. The game knows how much you put into it, and one of our famous quotes from our football coach, Coach Bro, is, and I've said this to our kids. The ball dropped at New Year's, and at like 12:01, I was sitting with Alex, and I texted in our baseball group chat, and I said, well, yesterday's home runs don't win today's games.
Love it.
And I said last year's state championship isn't going to win us this year's state championship. With that being said, that's what I mean by we have to work twice as hard. We have a 2 times bigger target on our backs now. Everyone wants to be the state championship, and the mentality coming into this year, for me at least, and for Alex and Mike, is we're not state champions anymore. That was 2021. It's the new year, 2022. This is our senior year. This is our last ride. This is our last year to get it done. Last year obviously means a lot, but this year would mean even more. So,
what legacy do you want to leave personally at Kennedy for all the sports you play, for all the people that you're a role model to this year? What's the legacy that you want to leave behind?
And I've talked to my parents about this, and kind of when I committed, I was happy to see it in the Twitter comment sections, and some of my coaches said this to me, and some of the outside guys that know me said it to me also. The biggest thing that I want to do when I leave Kennedy is I want people to look at me or hear of me, and just I want to be remembered as that hardworking kid who worked for everything he got. And I want to be a leader to everyone, and a role model to every kid that's looked up to me. Or if kids not looking up to me because I'm not that tall, but I don't know, maybe looking down, but looking up to me as a role model. But I'm one of those kids who just works as hard as he can and wants to help other kids exceed their expectations and achieve success. That's what I want to do.
I love it, man. I love it so much because you talked about it. You're not tall in stature, not a big guy in stature, but your heart can't be measured. And Gavin, that's the biggest thing you can ask for. And I think you're leaving a great legacy behind, and everybody seemingly knows it at Kennedy. All right, so you've talked about being a role model. Who were role models to you to this point, and being able to lead you to the great things that you've already accomplished and so much that you've left that is yet undiscovered?
So I'd say from a football standpoint, one of my biggest role models was Jarrett Likens and Isaac Hadley. For two different reasons. One, Jarrett was kind of like one of those laid back seniors that you could have fun with, but he taught me a lot of stuff when I first came in as a freshman, when I was on the football field with him. And, we had a couple seniors that played, but we were a pretty young team. Like we had Eddie starting, we had me and Alex starting. You had a lot of freshmen like going up against 18-year-olds, and that's not easy to do. And we were kind of thrown into the fire. Um, and then on for Isaac, I would say, he is kinda like one of those kids, and he continues to just lead, and he's not even around, and that would be just because of how much he works, and you can see that at Ashland paying off. He just got a scholarship, so congrats to him. He's worked for everything that he has, and he tried to find the right fit at a couple different colleges, and he finally figured out what he wanted to do, and that's how he was in high school. Like, he was just one of those gridiron leaders that would just grind away. Every practice has to be held to a high standard, or you're not going to get the job done. And then I would say, which is kind of odd, two kids that are actually in my class are one of my role models. Obviously, Eddie Kiernan, I would say, just because of how successful he is. Eddie is just a special kid just because he pushes you in whatever you do. And I couldn't thank my friends enough, and I probably wouldn't be here standing here like committing to this school if it weren't for them. Just because Eddie at 5 in the morning, even if you didn't want to practice hard in the summer for conditionings, like he would push you and he would make you do it, and that's why we were so good in everything that we do. And then I would say a kind not like a role model, but a kind of yeah, a role model I would guess. Um, is my best friend Alex DeSavo. We've been competing since we were 7 years old, and there was always a competitive factor. And he was like one of the main reasons that I'm blessed to have the talents that I do in baseball. Because however hard he works, we always try to one up each other, and that just leads to like us working even harder, trying to beat each other out. And it's just two kids have the same goal but want to be better than each other because they're so close to each other.
I love it, man. I love the fact that the Kennedy family seems to be so tightly knit
Mhm.
that you guys compete against each other, like you said, but you're all always rooting for each other in the
Yeah.
end, trying to make each other better. All right, last question I have for you today. Um, have you given any thought? Just put this, close your eyes and think about this. You being at Malone, another Kennedy grad from a year ago, maybe being at Walsh, two teams that don't necessarily have any good blood, respect each other, but like to battle in the trenches there. Cam Hollabaugh on the mound, you at the dish. I mean, you've obviously played a lot with Cam over the years.
Yeah.
Have you thought about the thought of playing against Cam for the next 2 to 3 years?
Oh yeah. When I made the decision when I first went on my very first visit to Malone, um, I've thought of playing with Cam, I've thought of playing against Cam, and neither one would be a bad choice. If you're playing against him, he's making you better. If you're playing with him, he's gonna make you better as well. And I'm kind of looking forward to it just because of the competitive balance there and some crosstown rivalry. Um, and I don't know if you saw Frank Tempesta's post on Facebook, but in the comment sections, there were a lot of people saying like this would be a matchup that you wouldn't want to miss.
Oh, I love
Um,
it.
and I know Frank, as a Walsh graduate, he congratulated me, and he was like, "Well, now you're the enemy." So I had my like 5 seconds of fame with him, and he was talking to some of his another alumni, saying how Malone dropped football, but they still have a really good baseball program. That Frank and one of his friends were going to come up for a game, just because of the rivalry that still goes on there. And that's kind of like how it is back home, and that's another reason why I chose Malone. Because they have a lot of the same standards that Kennedy has, and everyone's tightly knit. Everyone has the same goal. Everyone's real close, like real bonding. Everyone like really works hard there, and like the standard is a state championship or like a championship or like a league championship or some type of winning matter, and that's why I chose to go there.
I love it, man. And then the best thing about it is you won't have to change an article of clothing because you keep the same colors in the red, the white,
Oh
and the
yeah,
blue. So, many congratulations to you, Gavin. We're
thank you.
excited for you to see you play baseball for Malone, but more excited for the year that's ahead for you and the Eagles and defending that state title. Looking forward to catching up with you on the baseball field, and naturally, the best to you. And I think your best baseball is yet to come, my friend. Thanks for sitting
Thank
down with
you.
us,
I
and looking
appreciate
forward
it.
to doing it again soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.